Askreddit. What is something that seemed innocent when you were a child, but now that you're an adult it's actually inappropriate or creepy? I went to an all-girls school. In primary school, we had a music teacher who must have been in his late 30s at least. He would often call the younger kids to the front of the classroom for no real reason except to ask stupid questions and ridiculous riddles. When I was older, middle school, I had to go into his classroom for some reason I drew, and I saw him pulling this little girl really close, holding her by her waist. Then I thought it was kinda creepy but didn't realize exactly how much until one day my friend told me to notice his actions when he didn't think we could see. Turns out he molested 7 young girls, touching their butts. Sad thing is, in that school, nobody listens to students over teachers. Even if 10 students make the same complaint about the teacher, the school authorities assume that there's some sort of personal disagreement going on. If a student tries to protest, they get punished. Punishment can range from a week-long suspension, to not allowing concerned student to attend a particular exam that would cause them to fail. When I was younger, my dad, a meth addict, didn't know at the time, also doesn't excuse his actions, told me it was okay to go into his friend's RV to watch cartoons and eat ice cream. At the time, it was all fine and dandy, but looking back, it's terrifying and gross. All of the windows were covered, it would have been pitch black if it weren't for the cartoons playing, and the friend was just watching me from the back of the RV. Luckily, nothing happened that I can recall, but I can't imagine what could have happened if I had stayed in the RV longer. Geez, that's gross. At my high school we had a math teacher who for some reason lived in his storage closet attached to his classroom. There was a cot in there and everything. I had to be dropped off super early so I was the only one there and his car would be the only one there period with snow etc. piled on it in the parking lot. He opened the school doors in the morning. He got handsy with girls and touched my friend's thigh when she went for tutoring. It was no amongst the girls he was a perv. He'd adjust himself constantly but do it when he stopped right by you. He was super tall, maybe 6'6", and so his crotch would be in your face as you were seated. At first people made fun as it was constant, then grossed out. Then he'd monitor the girls' bathroom for smokers. There was only a half door and he was tall so he'd look over and watch the girls undress some days for cheerleading practice. A couple cheerleaders came forth. Anyway, nothing came of it. We took it to the principal and he said students were lying. I was one who came forth and boy did they try to make me sorry. They kept me in the class but he would constantly stop by my desk whispering saying I'm too dumb for this class, I'm a bitch etc. Homework would be graded wrong. I was afraid to bring that up. I asked to transfer to another teacher's class teaching the same but no. I could drop this class but for recording's sake it was to look like I was still in there and just not doing anything, so I took a 0 that semester. Next semester I took another teacher's class and made an A in the same subject second half. The first half I got an F. Years later I saw he had become principal of the school. Guess he has a bigger closet to live in now. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. For those of you who don't know, it's a very strict fundamentalist cult. I thought it was normal for people to tell you what opinion you should have on things and to consult the Bible for everything. I knew of course my schoolmates were different in the basic things, like them celebrating holidays and getting to have a birthday, but I was told doing those things would make Jehovah kill me at Armageddon. I once had a bite of a pink cupcake around Valentine's Day at school and felt so racked with guilt and fear over God punishing me that I had an anxiety attack after. I was in first grade. I now realize that's not normal and any religion that micromanages your life to such an extreme degree is a cult. My mom grew up a JW, her parents and brother no longer speak to her because she's Catholic now. Everything about their meetings and congregations are creepy. My grandparents would always take me to them. My aunt and uncle took me once when I was visiting them in California. I remember the speaker talking about how women need to submit to their husbands in every way, and that it is what Jehovah wants them to do. That was the last meeting I ever went to. Even at 13 I knew that it was whack. That same day, my aunt took me into the bathroom and viciously tried to pull my dress down to make it longer while at the same time talking shit about my appearance to the other women in the bathroom. I was horrified. I was 13. My dress wasn't inappropriate at all, they let me wear it there. So why did she all of a sudden get so weird about it, unless someone else had said something to her? Ick, everything about that religion is creepy and off. It's just sad because my grandparents are really good and sweet people. I honestly think the only reason they stayed in that religion is because of my uncle. He threatens them whenever they are in contact with my mom, at least that's what I've heard. The whole situation is just fucked. Male here. People who comment on children's appearances and compare them to societal ideas or stereotypes, especially when those stereotypes are really age inappropriate. Like, why are you telling an 8-year-old she dresses like a slut? My mom did that shit to my sister. This reminds me of something I heard on the bus once but forgot about until now. I live by the beach, and there was a group of kids in swimwear and stuff, playing catch. There was an older woman pointing out each and every girl to her husband and then shit-talking the girls for being slutty. She pointed out some like, 10-year-old girl and said, "Look at her, the one holding the ball, she knows what she's doing." As if to say the kid was actually trying to be seductive, puke, and then pointed out girls doing handstands and stuff and commenting how sexual it was and how it was a pedo's dream. In retrospect, I feel like I should have reported that woman. But what would I even say? Technically she was speaking against pedos, but she was the one calling little kids sluts and pointing out their bodies. And implying that they were being seductive. Because from my point of view, all I saw was a bunch of children playing a game. My 3rd grade teacher encouraging the little girls to sit on his lap constantly, undoing their overall straps as a joke. He also would play pranks on the kids. He did the bet you can't roll this quarter down your nose into the circle. He embarrassed the hell out of that kid. I knew him all through high school and I know it stayed with him to have all of us laughing him. He'd also jokingly threaten to pull kids' loose teeth with pliers he had at his desk. Just overall inappropriate behavior for an elementary school teacher. He had to be in his 50s or 60s too. So while the lap sitting is definitely the most disturbing and horrific part of this, I wanna make a comment about the other thing you said, the pranks and making everyone laugh at one kid. Teachers can be, and often are, bullies. Unless they do something actually illegal or creepy, it tends to get ignored by other staff. I had a teacher outright bully me and shame me in front of the class for things that were totally out of my control, but whenever I tried to speak out about it I would just get called a problem child, not to mention the teacher can always outsmart the kid and make a cover story. I had another teacher who would pick on this one kid and call him a moron in front of the class a lot. The kid was a class clown and could be a little disruptive. He took the insults really well actually. But I feel like it probably affected him in the long run, and it's a real shame that he grew up thinking that's just how men interact with each other. Obviously I don't want this to overshadow the more explicitly creepy parts of your comment, but it just sucks how kids have to suffer bullying from both their teachers and peers, and how teachers cause their peers to bully them. Some then have to suffer further abuse at home or have school abuse ignored by parents. My mom's friend constantly touching my butt when I was until the age of around 16. It got weird when she got really handsy, offered me alcohol, and kept trying to spend more time alone with me. I know it's been said in here before, but please consider therapy. I was molested when I was younger, around 8 or 10 by a cousin, and when my family found out it was basically swept under the rug because we're both girls, so it wasn't taken seriously even though she was quite a bit older. I didn't go to therapy for it until like 10 years later because my issues just kept building until my life and life decisions started spiraling and I had no choice. Talk therapy truly does wonders, and I hope that you can find your inner peace within yourself and your life one day. What happened? I snapped, and screamed at her about it in front of her husband. She had cornered me, and stuck her tongue down my throat a couple of minutes before. Her husband knew she was a little grabby towards me, but thought it was a joke from when she used to babysit us. I poured out all my anger and rage about the situation, and basically let him know what kind of person she really was. Once he found out she'd been grooming me, he got pissed and talked to my parents about it. They cut ties with her, and everyone else wondered why she didn't come around anymore. My mom was blindsided, because men couldn't possibly be harassed, or forced into sexual acts, right? I still think she doesn't fully comprehend that whole concept. My mom isn't stupid, just pretty rigid, and naive in her views of how certain things work. I still have problems connecting with women, because I don't know what a truly healthy relationship feels like. I managed to get into one, and the woman I was going to marry passed away. I'm really uncomfortable touching people, or letting them touch me. This was a trusted adult I'd known my whole life. Looking at how big and ugly I am now, people would be surprised anyone was able to, or wanted to take advantage of me. Not inappropriate but sad. I grew up in a neighborhood where most people were patriotic. If there was a war, and you were a young male, you signed up for the army. Growing up, most dads were very distant and didn't show their kids much affection. Many had explosive tempers and some of the wives were afraid of them. I thought this was just how dads were. As a teen, I met dads who were very affectionate towards their kids and I was confused. I talked to my mom about this and she said most of the men in our neighborhood had PTSD from Vietnam. Sadly, while most if their sons never joined the military, they do parent like their fathers. Mormon Youth Worthiness Interviews. What is that? You can learn everything here. www.protectldschildren.org. Basically, they are one-on-one closed-door interviews between the bishop and youth where the bishop inquires about the child's worthiness. Basically to find out if you are sinning and need to make changes. Many reports of bishops asking sexually explicit questions have come out. They are asking young children if they masturbate. If so, what do they think of? Things of that nature. It's pretty disgusting. Ex-Mormon, I remember those. Makes me cringe looking back. How do they usually go? I'm curious. It's been a while since I've had one, but this is what I roughly remember. Oftentimes they'll talk to you about your views, abortion, homosexuality, etc., to make sure you're in alignment with the church's views. Ask if you've lied, had sex before marriage, even down to if you touch yourself inappropriately, masturbate, etc. Also if you pay your tithing, financial pay to the church, 10% of your earnings. It was usually to make sure you were worthy to enter the temples for different ordinances and all. As an adult now, looking back, it was highly inappropriate. Things may be different from other experiences or bishops, but that was how mine went. I lied about everything except tithing. And the only reason I didn't lie about tithing was because I knew they kept records on that sort of thing. I'm also an ex-Mo and that church is just horrible. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like if you did and subscribe for more creepy Reddit videos. Also check out my creepypasta videos. Have a good night.